On her very first day, Spain expected to see Princess Leonor step quietly into a classroom, nervous yet determined, like any other student beginning a new chapter. But instead, the world watched in shock as she boarded a military aircraft, bound for the Javier Academy, not just walking into a school, but soaring into history. And here's the twist: this wasn't just about education. It was about destiny, discipline, and the weight of a crown carried at 18. This is the story of Princess Leonor's unforgettable first day at the Javier Academy, a moment that left Spain not only speechless, but deeply moved. From the moment dawn broke over Madrid, anticipation was in the air. Citizens expected photographs of Leonor stepping through the academy gates, perhaps with her parents, King Felipe and Queen Letizia, by her side. Instead, television screens filled with a far more dramatic image: Leonor, dressed in her crisp cadet uniform, boarding a military plane. Her shoulders squared, her gaze steady, she looked less like a nervous student and more like a young leader ready to take on the impossible. But why the flight? Why the grandeur? Why this sudden shift from the expected simplicity of a first day to a scene drenched in symbolism? To answer that, we must look beyond the surface. The Javier Academy isn't just another school, it's the cradle of military discipline, duty, and sacrifice. By boarding that aircraft, Leonor wasn't just traveling to a place of study, she was crossing into a new identity, heir not only to a throne, but to a legacy of service. For many Spaniards, the image stirred memories of King Felipe's own path. Decades ago, he too began his military training with the same academy, the same discipline, the same daunting weight of expectation. Watching his daughter retrace those steps was more than nostalgia, it was a reminder that the monarchy survives through continuity, through visible, symbolic acts that reaffirm the bond between crown and country. Yet, beneath the ceremony, questions swirled. Was Leonor truly ready for this? Could she balance her identity as a young woman with the rigorous demands of both military life and royal duty? And perhaps most pressing, did Spain itself want her to? Some critics argued that the image felt staged, a performance rather than a natural step. Others, however, saw it differently. They saw courage. They saw responsibility embraced rather than resisted. They saw a future queen proving her commitment, not with words, but with action. Inside the plane, sources whispered, Leonor remained calm, quietly reading the Academy's code of honor while cadets and officers observed her in awe. For them, she was not merely the heir, she was a peer, beginning the same journey, facing the same tests. That moment, the quiet before the flight landed, was said to be one of profound reflection. For Leonor, this wasn't about cameras, or public opinion, or even politics. It was about her own promise to herself, to live up to the trust placed in her since birth. When the plane touched down and Leonor stepped onto the academy grounds, the applause was not orchestrated. It erupted spontaneously from those waiting to welcome her. In that instant, Spain saw not just a student, not just a princess, but a leader in the making. And yet, the curiosity loop tightens. What challenges awaited her behind those walls? How would she adapt to the rigid schedules, the drills, the relentless demand for excellence? Would she thrive, or falter under the weight of two identities pulling at her simultaneously? The coming weeks would bring their own revelations. Stories soon emerged of Leonor embracing the toughest parts of academy life, rising before dawn, mastering drills, and refusing any privilege that separated her from her fellow cadets. "Treat me as one of you," she was overheard saying. That single sentence reverberated beyond the academy, across Spain, across Europe. Could this be the sign of a monarch who would rule not above her people, but alongside them? The symbolic resonance of this first flight continues to ripple outward. For parents watching across Spain, it was a lesson in resilience. For young people, it was proof that even those born into privilege face trials that demand grit and sacrifice. And for the monarchy itself, it was a carefully constructed yet deeply human narrative, a future queen proving her worth through service, discipline, and humility. Still, the story is unfinished. Her first day may have stunned Spain, but what comes next will shape history. Will Princess Leonor's journey at the Javier Academy strengthen the monarchy's bond with its people, or expose new tensions within the palace and the nation? One thing is certain: by boarding that plane, Leonor did far more than begin her studies. She carried with her the hopes of a country, the expectations of a dynasty, and the love of a family who knows that the path of duty is never easy. And in that moment, Spain wasn't just watching a princess. It was witnessing the making of a queen.